Huh. Here it actually takes an extra second. Cheaper though. Deposits me right by Cardaro, so yeah. But I you can't heap the blame just solely on, say, the writers or the war team though, because they weren't the ones who decided to junk, say, the water raid in Canada. They weren't the ones who decide that. There's always higher ups, directing things. Oh, we have to do this, we have to do that. You know, they're the ones pushing, an expansion every 5 minutes. Really, like an expansion every year. You know, so it's not just the war team. There is just a issue on various strata of the company. So it's not just the blame can't be landed at any one individual's feet or, huh? So less mountain there than I thought. I thought that was more filled in. Huh? It's kind of jarring because I thought it was more like this side. But yeah. But yeah, you can't blame anything on any one part of the company. I imagine its failures on multiple levels. That's my assumption here, at least. Who knows? Maybe it's all Jim from accounting's fault. But who fucking knows? I don't have insiders, so apparently people were complaining that medicine was coming back. Like in company, disliked medicine returning. From what I remember vaguely of a Bellier video, they didn't like that he was returning. Not sure why, but yeah. But yeah, I have no insiders. I have no connections with it. I can't assert things one way or the other. But they do mess up on the lore and the writing, so obviously there's an issue there. But I've heard plenty of stories of bosses insisting upon this and that, even when it isn't workable or goes against stuff. Bosses making unreasonable demands, so that could very well also be an issue there. So, like, I don't want to just just like heap blame solely on the writing team, because it very well mightn't be just them. It may be, an exec also spazzing out and being an idiot, and they have to do what the boss says, So it just gets fucked over. So it's probably a failing on multiple levels. Certainly, at the very least, with say the Neptune storyline, they couldn't make it work as a raid, so they just dropped the whole thing. That's not the writer's fault. That's the fault of the game design people. They couldn't make it work as a raid, so they didn't retool it as anything else and just dropped it. And apparently, from what I remember, there was a ton of bugs from the War Within beta that were never fixed. They came out in the release copy. They were reported plenty of times, but they just never fixed them. Again, because of the rush in development. them insisting upon getting a game out, an expansion out every year or whatever, 18 months. They can manage that rate, but they won't stop, slitting their wrists and trying. They're just kind of harming the game and probably crunching the shit out of their own devs, so they're harming the company too. So it's... I can assume that it's for a reason. I imagine they do suffer drop-off if there is new content out regularly enough. So I can understand why that's the case. Sorry, I got distracted. Gildy's Tarzan Crips run got fucked up. Everyone left, so he's just today's run is hosed on him now. But yeah, I presume like there is probably a drop off in subscription numbers, and they're trying to avoid that. That's why they want the higher, rate of expansions. But they aren't able to put the in trying to, they're writing checks their body can't cash. That's the issue. And them constantly trying to do so anyway isn't doing them any favors. So I think they need to calm down a bit. You know? Like, I can speak for myself, and it's just like I wouldn't mind a longer time between expansions if it meant I was getting a better expansion, I was getting a better thing. Like, certainly I want to avoid another BFA, I want to avoid another Shadowlands. And I also want to just be able to play the game and take the world in through it. But like I said, what you experience in game may not be canon, and not even in a Horde really canonically did that dungeon, but you can see what the Horde did here, kind of thing. In running it yourself, it's actually no, that an NPC did that. Varian killed Anixia. Or we've changed it so this actually happened, Oh, I need to go get a drink and maybe something to eat. There's a raid coming on soon, so that's what I'm just trying to get the Horde in here for. But Nixia, what the like, you may go do a quest here in WoW, but you don't get to actually experience, you experience a quest and it's like, oh, that was cool. It's not canon now. It just got retconned out. Or it just got changed. Maybe they don't do it as often as I think they do, but sorry, since I'm having difficulty focusing here. So, just stuff is happening on the screen, so my mind is wandering and drifting. I'm having difficulty focusing and, rendering a coherent thought. Okay. they do like retcon things. They do shift it from like no, alliance person didn't do that. It was a horde to no, an NPC actually did that. So it makes it harder for you to actually establish what's canon for your character. What's your character has actually even done. Because when you're playing the game and doing these quests, none of what you've done may have actually even happened. None of what you've done may have even happened. Or like, look at the Duskwood quests with that teacher that killed the girl because he thought she had feelings for him and she didn't. He killed the whole family. They turned him from someone who's after turning undead into a worgen in the recent one, and he's still active as of Kata, where that quest was originally done in Classic, and so they just rehashed it and changed the canonity of it. In Kata, you get a quest as like Alliance and Horde to kill the leader of the Horde in Ubers. Or Ubers, where no, it was in Ubers. You get the quest to kill the leader of that horde over there. But in reality, only the horde got the quest to kill him back in Classic, and that's where he died. That quest is completely non-canon. So, like any quests you've done they have no problem in decanonizing them at any moment, and changing things and twisting things and. It just makes it hard to care about the setting when nothing is set in stone. Nothing is respected, really. It's just frustrating. But anyway, I've ranted too much. I've ranted way too much. Basically, I like WoW. I think it's good. I like the setting, I like the stuff, but they change things too liberally. They retcon things out too much. They forget details. They change things. And what you go through in game is not necessarily even canon. You have to go buy a supplementary book that can also be retconned at any moment to find out whether or not your character did X, A, B, and C, or if the opposite faction did, or if an NPC did. Like canonically, the raid, in Coltiris in the north with, it was that two-person raid that I never finished, that two-boss raid that I never finished with my BFA guild. That raid is a horde raid. The horde canonically are the ones who have done it. Similarly, I think Gahoon is a horde raid, but I'm not sure. I think Gahoon is a horde raid. The All Deer. So like you may go and run All Deer, but actually the horde did it. You may go run the other raid. The horde did it. So it's just like, I know they have to split it. Here's the horde gets something, the alliance gets something, but it makes it hard to establish, your own, what actually even happened in the world when your achievements are being parceled off to everyone else, And I'm sure the Horde can say the same thing, like, oh, I ran that, but an Alliance person did it. They can say it too. It's not just an Alliance complaint. But I can tolerate it a bit better when it's a player, but when they give it to an NPC and like decanonize, as far as I know, your whole quest chain that you did for it, it can't, and take your victory away from you. It's kind of annoying. Remember someone saying before that in like FF14 you're the hero. In WoW, the NPCs are the hero. You're just tagging along. did I drop this quest?
I need to target something first.
I keep losing my train of thought and forgetting what I'm saying and Oh, I forgot to turn in that quest. I'll go up here, turn in this quest, and I'll come back down and grab that. But yeah, it just makes it hard to care when like you do a quest and then it's like, oh no one actually killed him and he's actually a Worgen now. When they just like rehash it, and change things. It's or it's just hard to care when they just keep screwing around. Yeah, I'm going to definitely take a break because I'm just ranting here. I'm just like, Rah! I'm just having a moment. Apologies. Um, but yeah, I do like the setting. I'm not complaining just to complain. It's just, from what I've seen, they're just very liberal in like retconning things out here and there. What you play in the game is not the basis for the lore. What's the basis for the lore is what's in their head at that moment. So if they, I never noticed that brazier or the stuff in it. Well, the cage. What the basis for the lore is what's in their head at that moment, and they'll happily change their mind at any moment, at any second. So it's just like it's hard to build an awareness of the setting when what you've done in a quest may not actually be canon. Maybe it is canon, but it was actually done years later, and the guy's a Worgen now, and rather than an undead. You know, it's hard to care about the setting when there's no solid ground to it. It's constantly shifting. It's annoying, but part of it is the issue in trying to write. This started back in the 90s. Wow. And then they're building on it from there, building on it from there. The WoW is like 30 years old now, so there's gonna be these issues to it. But these issues, I feel, if they're better about this whole thing, then we wouldn't have these issues right now. It just comes down to a matter of the work they put into it. How do they? Okay, yeah, everyone's fine. It just all comes down to the work they put into it. You know, there's probably going to be teething issues, like aging issues inherently, but the better you are about this, the less of a problem will be, basically. And I feel they didn't really put their full pussy into avoiding these issues. I can feel my spirit healing, Gorik. You've done my husband and I a great service, but I'm certain there's more to be done. Great weight has been lifted from our hearts, Gorik, but your task is not yet complete. Krasnov's master, Kirtanos, still lives. Before you may face Kirtanos, however, you must secure a method in which to summon him. It said that Jandis Barov stewards the blood of innocence from Krasnov to Kirtanos. Find her in the sunken catacombs of Sholmans and strike her down. Bring back any clues you may find. She's canonically still around. The whatever chick she just mentioned, she's still around. According to WoW lore. And that's like her second, third time striking her down. She just never actually leaves. She's a camp around here. She's not on the top of the building, is she? I'm gonna go get a drink and maybe something to eat in a moment. It seems like I think the doc said that I don't have an ulcer because like I'm not getting unreasonably like bloated and full from having food at all. I was going to say, there was this one time I did, but it's like, no, I think I actually had like a double portion dinner. We kind of have terrible serving sizes here. We get, well, by terrible I mean we get too much. We had mum made pasta bake, and I got 2 large slices. She got 2 large slices. We basically each had half the dish. Huh? Cannon balls over there. But so yeah, I started feeling full towards the end of the second slice. I think that's kind of natural, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, gastro something or other. Basically, it's like irritation to the stomach, leading to increased acid production that further irritates the stomach. So Malia? Weird. Oh. Oh, there's Gregory. Wasn't expecting them to be in there since an NPC is normally home there. But, yeah, it's like increased acid production that irritates, that causes further irritation to the stomach. I have acid tabs to take now. I was on some before, but they actually made me feel worse. So I came off them. Like, I was on them, they helped, but then gradually I started feeling better. So I stopped I ended up forgetting to take them because I just didn't think of feeling sick, and I stayed feeling I stayed feeling okay. But I was like, oh shit, I should be taking these, shouldn't I? So I went back on them, and I just started feeling worse. So I came off them, and I've been doing better off them. But I'm gonna get a lower dose and try them again, and see if it helps. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hey there.
Okay, you look a lot more fucked up now. Don't have much to say to you, Paladin. My master thinks we need you. I disagree. Know enough about Paladins to know that you're only going to get in the way. Leave me before I crack that thick, self-righteous skull of yours.
See you around.
You don't look surprised to see me. I've had much time to reflect since our last meeting in Foulwood Gorik. Not only was my attempt on your life foolish, it was terribly short-sighted. My ignorance completed my mission. I failed to consider my actions how they could be perceived. This misjudgment has cost us much. I do believe we can help each other. Still help each other. What can I tell you to put your mind at ease? You look a lot more fucked up now, Gregory. I really wonder what happened to this goddamn question. First off, why did you take the echoing orb from Stormwind? Called it a damn to his eyes and ears in a great many places. When I realized that Burning Blade intended to make a move on the orb, I made mine first. Trust me, Gorik, the orb is safer where I have it than anywhere in Stormwind. Getting into the vaults first wasn't terribly difficult either. It turns out when you don't properly compensate the people who build your opulent castles and vaults, you can never be sure who might end up with knowledge about the secret doors and passageways. Yeah. The whole Defiance thing, for those who don't know, stems from the, Stormwind gets fucked. The Masons Guild comes together to rebuild it. Nobles are like, thanks for the job. We'll pay you an exposure. We need money to put food on the table. No. So the Masons riot. and in the process they throw a brick and kill Varian Rin's wife. Varian, who had actually been sympathetic to the Masons, but hamstrung by the House of Nobles, was no longer sympathetic to the Masons. He was very much not sympathetic to the Masons. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just jump into the crowd and start swinging. But maybe I'm overplaying him there. He just exiled them, and then they became, rallied around what's his face, and became the Defias. So, yeah, the House of Nobles refused to pay the Masons for rebuilding Stormwind. They broke their asses rebuilding the place, and they would not pay them. So, well, that's a disturbing thought. Fine. What's next? How do I fit into this? For starters, I want you to know that the orb was safe to prevent you from rushing off to chase another dead end. For another thing, the partial ritual we performed in Felwood did have an effect on the orb. It's changed now. I believe that there may be another way to finish the process and destroy it without needless betrayal. I guess betrayal was part of the orb ritual. However, I believe we'll still need you to complete the ritual, not just as a sacrifice. These things are all about creating and severing arcane connections, and for good or ill, you're part of this until the end now. Great. Sounds like you tried to kill me for nothing, then. Regrettably, yes. You must understand that at the time your death seemed a perfectly acceptable price to pay for the expedient advancement of my goals. It was simply the most pragmatic path forward. In retrospect, of course, I can see that it was entirely self-defeating, so I've only delayed the completion of my objective. That's one of the worst apologies I think I've ever heard. The morality of the living is something that does not come easy to someone in my position, Paladin. I can honestly say that it was a costly misjudgment, and I'm sorry for that. I'm also sorry that it made an enemy of Aenis, after doing so much to gain some amount of trust. He was a powerful ally, and our cause is weakened without him. Our cause, is it? Just like that? Yes, just like that. Or so I had hoped. You're capable Paladin, Gork. Whatever's lurking on the other end of these orbs is dangerous, and I think you know that. I hope that you can see the logic in continuing our partnership until my mission's completed. I'll have to think about it. What are your plans now? For now, we lie low and wait. The orb has changed, but it's also as if it's been tempered, hardened. I suspect we'll need something significantly stronger than your blood to finish the job, and destroy it this time. Ada will be hard at work searching for suitable reagent. If you happen to cross paths with Aenis again, tell him I'm sorry. Oh, and here it is. I sense the end is in sight. Hopefully we can find a suitable replacement for your blood, and be done with this business once for all. In any case, you came all this way in good faith and didn't try to kill me, so I appreciate that. Here, take this as a token of my appreciation. It's not much, but it served me well in another life. Hope it can be a boon to you as well. Maybe this is where the blood of the Lightbringer comes in. Need blood more potent in mind, and who else than the first Grand Master of the Order of Paladins? I do wonder, like, if Artus rose this guy as a Dead Knight, why didn't he raise Uther? Actually, I think Artus actually said not to. How did that ending cutscene go? Horn of Lordaeron. So now, I can blow my horn, baby. if I can say anything to him. Thinking about it, it's the like there's Uther as a symbol of the Paladins, and he's got this magnificent tomb here. Is there anyone really on par with him for priests? I suppose there's Tyrande, but she's specifically a priestess of Elune, which I suppose Night Elf priests are a thing, and there is Tyrande, but then there's others. Sorry, my mind just blanked there. There's Tyrande. In Burning Crusade, they introduced the Prophet Velen, who is a more clear-cut priest hero. And then now there's also Anduin, though Anduin's still early on his journey. It's like Uther's peak of Paladin, so it makes sense to pick another peak. So I'm getting struck by Go Chat. So yeah, there doesn't seem to really be an exemplar of the class here in Classic. But I think that goes true for a lot of them. Like Uther is there because he's a holdover from Warcraft 3. So that's why he's there. But yeah, I don't know of anything else for the other classes. It's like an exemplar of them. If you can think of anyone, let me know. Like, let's just look at Classic, because I was just thinking like there's Uther, and it's like, and there's a priest servicing caring for his temple, for his tomb. What about, priests? Is there, one for them? And, mages, I suppose there's Jaina. Khadgar isn't around, so Jaina will be the closest one. Warlock-wise, there isn't anyone. Warrior-wise, don't think there's anyone. Maybe this psychopath over in the Light's Hope. The Hunters, that'll be Rexar, but he's not in Classic. So yeah, there doesn't seem to be class heroes outside of Uther, as off the cuff anyway. Not quite on the same tier as him. Maybe you have to open up the criteria a bit more to find them. Enough to include Jaina, say. In later on expansions, there'll be, like I said, Prophet Valen. You could also, for while he's alive, vary in Rin as a warrior champion. There could be a warrior champion on the Horde, Overseer Sorfang. He could be a warrior champion. So, yeah, exemplar, But anyway, I'll get on a flight, and I'm gonna go get a cup of tea, and I'll be back later.
Need assistance?
I can do some auctions, and I can
Off and away.
get ready for the raid. We're going to do the Nightmare Dragons. The dragons themselves are pretty much just a tank and stab in flank. one of them at different health points does, like the first one, like the one in Duskwood, does a ton of damage at each point. At like 75 health, 50, 25, does a chunk of heavy damage, and you then get rushed by champions of the other faction. So we'll get rushed by hordes. We'll get rushed by hordes. Another one hits you with an effect that makes a shade appear from you, walk to it and heal it. The way of countering that in SOD is to just simply kill it harder. Like, it makes it punishing to have melee characters there, I imagine. You have to run out in time, otherwise you're just healing the boss. I can't remember what the rest do. But, yeah, it's mainly tank and spanks with a few effects to worry about. Oh, one has like this chain lightning effect that I think you need to comp for. It's more of a meteor than a chain lightning. So yeah, they've got all their loot tables buffed, but the SR website's still showing the old stuff. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed. Sorry for my rant. I'm just like I said, I like WoW. I think it's a good series. I think it's a good like universe. But Blizzard is too quick to retcon things in the game, to not have the game as the focus for the lore, but what they're currently thinking at that moment be the focus. So rather than work around what's in the game and trying to keep the retcons to a minimum from just where they really did mess up on a thing, they seem much more eager to do so, And it just makes it harder to care about the lore and the setting when they don't give it the respect it deserves. Another thing that also annoys me is how they reintroduced the Eridar as a player race. If you want to do that, that's fine. But they just include it as a cosmetic for the standard Draenei, rather than as a separate thing like the Dark Irons. They made the Dark Irons a full-fledged allied race, but they made the Eridar reskin Draenei. It doesn't make sense for a Eridar to have Gifted Inaru or Heroic Presence. It does not make sense for them to have that. They should be, like, mechanically anti-Draenei because of their history with the Burning Legion. The Draenei have been steeped in the light for so long, while never becoming light sworn for some reason. I guess not all Inaru like doing that. But they have Gifted Inaru. They have a healing spell. They should have Gifted Legion, where they have a dot over time. They should have traces of their Legion heritage there. Maybe give you the choice of talent to go with. Say if you want to have one that's trying to lean more Draenei, to give you the roleplay potential of having an Eridar but still getting Gifted Inaru. Maybe you have to go through a quest chain to unlock it, a redemptive thing. And so you get Gifted Inaru at the end of it. They could do something like that. But no, it's just cosmetic. But yeah, I may have bitched about WoW there and got very annoyed, but it's not that I hate it. It's just simply, they could do better with it. Honestly, they could do better. WoW is a great franchise. It's a great universe that they could do better with, but they're just so eager to like not treat you know use the game as a bedrock to build off of, but something to retcon around when they have to shift to the side a little. Like, look at how much, Shadowlands retconned about the cosmology of the setting. Like, the afterlives and the like. And they never even had characters acknowledge it, play with it a bit. So, at some point I should go back to play Shadowlands myself, but I just have little drive, honestly. But anyway, I need to get a drink. I'm kind of dying here. You may hear it in my voice, I swear I do. But we'll be back to do the Nightmare Dragons, and I hope we all get AQ 40 shoulders. If I can get AQ 40 shoulders, then I have got one of my best in slots. Apparently, if I get the AQ 40 shoulders, I'm actually not doing Judgment anymore. It's actually slightly stronger to just do Crusader Strike. Well, this, and this, I guess. And no Judgment. But honestly, I could see there being a gap in my rotation for Judgment. And certainly I can't always justify doing Divine Rot because of how big of a cleave it is in AoE. It's one of the larger AoEs. It's 20 yards around me. I'm not sure if there's any other AoE in the game quite as large. And I made it hit everything. Not just undead and demons. Well, if I'm in Nax, it doesn't really matter now, does it? But anyway, I'll pause here. And I'll be back after I get a drink and something to eat.